Hello everyone, I welcome all of you to the session. In this session, we are going to move towards our next topic of JavaScript, which is nothing but functions in JavaScript. Okay, since this is our first session, so as per the syllabus, we are going to discuss about functions in JavaScript. So different ways are there to declare the functions in JavaScript. So let's explore the different ways. So before we start discussing about the functions in JavaScript, let's go through the session 1. Means let's take one quick recap of our session 1. Okay. We'll switch to the VS Code. Now what in all the files we were created in session 1, I have created one folder and inside that folder I have moved all those files. Okay. So in session 1 we discussed about how to declare variables in JavaScript, and we also discussed about what is DOM and different DOM manipulation methods also we have discussed. And we have built this task 1 also. Okay, I hope you have revised whatever we have discussed in session 1 and then you can start with the session 2. Okay, so now I'm going to create one new folder over here and the folder name I'm going to give as session 2. Okay, and let me move it out over here. So this is your session 1 folder and this is your session 2 folder. Okay, so now in session 2, one new file I'm going to create with the name functions .js. I'm going to save this file with the extension .js. Okay, so now we are not going to take help of any HTML file to execute this JavaScript code, because we know that JavaScript code can't be executed by browser. JavaScript code will be executed by JavaScript engine which is present inside a browser. Okay, so every time whenever we want to execute, whenever we want to run our script code, we have added this script code inside our HTML document, right? Or if we create external JS file also, we have to link it to our HTML document. Okay, as we have done in session 1, we created HTML file and inside this we were written our script code. Or if you are creating any external file, then we have linked that script inside our HTML code like this. So we were completely depend on HTML files to execute our JavaScript code. So now we are going to download and install Node.js environment, and in that environment we will execute the JavaScript code. So we no need to depend on browser to execute this JavaScript code. Okay. If you wanted to learn what exactly this Node.js is, then in the description I have provided one link. Okay, so you can go through it and you can understand what this Node.js all about. Okay, so now let's go to the browser and let's download and install Node.js in our system. Okay, so here I'm going to just search for download Node.js. Okay, so you will be getting this particular website. Okay, you have to just visit over here. So if you are using Windows, then you just click on this Windows installer and download this. Once you complete the download, then you have to install it. That's all. So simple steps are there to download and install Node.js in your system. Okay. So now once you download and install, you have to cross verify whether successfully it got installed or not. Okay. So for that purpose, you just take the terminal. How to take the terminal? Here you will be having the options. Okay. Terminal, take a new terminal. Okay. So currently I am present inside JavaScript course 2025 folder, this main folder, okay, main parent folder. So here I am going to just check the version of Node. So as I am getting one version of Node, whichever the version you want to install, you can install it. There is no dependency. But let's say if you, even though you have installed successfully this node in your system, and then also if you are getting an error, then in the description I have provided one link. You can go through it and you can fix that error. Okay, so now once you confirm node is present in your system, now next let's start towards our functions topic. Okay, so now first we have created this file inside session 2. So let's change the directory to session 2. So I have wrapped the folder name in double quotes because in between this folder names we have a space. Okay, so that's why it is must to use double quotes while giving the folder name. Okay, so make sure you will redirect it like this. Okay, so now I'm going to clear this terminal. Yeah, done. So now currently I am present inside session 2 folder. Okay, so now it's time to declare the functions in JavaScript. Three different ways are there to declare the function. Okay, So as I have provided all the ways here in the notes, these are the notes of your session 2. Okay. So what is function? Function is a block of code designed to perform specific tasks. You must have created the different functions in different programming languages. But in JavaScript, you have to give the focus on the syntax. Okay. Multiple ways are there to declare the function, and each way of declaring the function you have to understand carefully. Okay. As of now, we are going to give focus only on the syntax of declaring the functions. We will not discuss when to use which type of function, not at all required to discuss now. Once we move towards our further session of JavaScript in future, there we will discuss about when to use which way of declaring the function. Okay. So as of now, let's go through the syntax. That's all. So the first way of declaring the function is function declaration. First, let's list out different ways different ways of declaring JavaScript function. Okay, JavaScript function. You can start typing the code. Okay, along with me. Okay, parallelly you can type the code. So different ways are there. First way we are going to discuss, which is nothing but function declaration. Okay. Second way is there, which is nothing but function expression. Okay. Third way is there, which is nothing but arrow function. Widely used way of declaring the function, arrow function. Okay. So yeah, these are the three different ways of declaring JavaScript function. All the three ways we are going to use. Okay. So let's take one requirement. Okay. So the requirement is you have to write a JavaScript code to return hello world, or to return good morning message. Good morning message it should return. That's all. So this is the requirement. So now let's write one JavaScript code to return good morning, first using function declaration. Okay, so let's write it. So function declaration, in the name itself meaning is there. Let's say we have one function name. I'm going to give the function name as greeting. Now this greeting is a function. So how to declare this greeting as a function? By using this function keyword. Okay, so I have mentioned over here, this greeting is not a normal variable name, rather this is a function. So each function can accept parameters. So these are the brackets to pass the parameter, and these brackets are used to give the block of your function. So all the instructions which you want to wrap in the function, you have to give it inside this block of function. And here I am going to return what we want to return, good morning message. That's all. So this is good morning. Okay. So now I'm going to call this greeting function. Okay. Now I want to check the output of my code. Okay. So how to check the output, how to execute, how to run this script code, that we need to understand now. Okay. So let's execute it. First, make sure you have saved your code. Now one command you have to type node. What is the file name? Functions.js. This is the file name, correct? And once you hit enter, the script, whatever you have given, that will be executed. And we are not getting any output over here. Why? Because here we have called the function. But function is returning something, right? So have we printed it over here? No. From here, control will go inside greeting. Greeting is returning good morning string. That good morning string will be returned over here. But we are not printing it. Okay. So what we will do? We'll take one console statement over here. Okay. And inside this, we'll call the function. So from here, control will go inside greeting. Whatever the function is returning, that will be returned back over here only. From wherever the control will go inside the function, after executing all the instructions which are present inside the function, control will come back to the same statement from wherever it went inside the function. So that's why this good morning will be returned here only, and whatever it has written we have mentioned print it. Okay, so now we'll save the code, and you can use up arrow in your keyboard to execute the previous command. Okay, and hit enter. As you can check the output, we got it good morning over here. Okay, so let's clear the terminal. So successfully we have built one function using function declaration. So what is the syntax? Function keyword, then function name, parentheses are used to give the parameter. For example, let's say while calling the function, I have passed one name Priya. Okay. So this is the argument. This argument let's receive inside this parameter. And I want to display over here, good morning Priya. So let's use the backticks over here, because string concatenation means we are going to concatenate this value of variable name. Okay, so it will display good morning, value of variable name is Priya because we have passed argument Priya. Okay, so let's test output. Now if I execute this, as you can check, I am getting good morning Priya. So like this we can pass the parameters over here, and these are the arguments, the values which we are sending while calling the function, we call it as an argument. The values which we are accepting over here, we call it as a parameters. This you have to remember. Okay, so now the same function let's implement using function expression. Okay, same requirement remains as it is. Okay, so first we have to declare one variable, and whenever we are declaring variable, var, let or const, either of the keyword we must use. Okay, what is the difference between var, let, const? In the upcoming sessions we will understand. As of now, let's ignore it. Let's use let over here. Okay, usually we use let only. So let, I want to give the function name as say hello. This is my function name. Okay, so now this function name will print good morning. Say hello will print good morning, doesn't seems good. So what we will do, we'll just write say or greeting message. Okay, like this, one more function name we have declared. So now this is not a normal variable which will hold a 10 number value or which will hold any string value. This is the variable which is going to hold one function. So is equal to, we are going to assign one function like this. So now inside this greeting message, this complete function is present. Really, let's cross verify. See, on the next line, whatever is present in greeting message, I am going to print it. Now if we execute this code, as you can check what is present inside greeting message variable, complete function. We can assign any number over here. If we assign number, what will happen? If I execute this, I am getting number. So what is present in greeting message variable? Number is present. But now I want to give one function over here. Okay. So now this complete function is present inside this variable. Like this also we can declare functions in JavaScript. So whenever you are using assignment operator to assign this function to this variable, the way of declaring this function, we call it as function expression. Okay. So now let's say this function also takes one parameter. Okay. Here I'll just give one parameter as a message. Okay, on the next line, we are going to return. What to return? I'll just write it over here. One name I'll write Priya, and then I want to concatenate that message. So I'll just write Priya, and then whatever we pass in message, that will be concatenated over here. Okay. So now while calling this greeting message, we have to pass one argument, because as you can check here, we have passed the parameter. So for this, I'm going to give one value as good night. Okay, this message we will give. So what will happen when we are calling this greeting message function? We have passed the argument. This parameter will receive that argument and it will return Priya good night. Okay, or you can display like this good night, and after that you can display the message Priya like this. Okay, so this message we have given. Okay, like this we will keep. So now let's test output. Now I'm going to execute this code. We'll hit enter. Yeah, it is showing good night Priya. So good morning Priya we displayed by using function declaration. Good night Priya we have displayed by using function expression. I hope I am clear with the syntax. Whenever you are seeing assignment operator in function declaration, you call it as a function expression, where variable will hold this complete function as a value. Okay, now also if you try to print greeting message, okay, this variable value, so let me show you what is the value of this variable. So as you can check, this is a function. So this variable is holding this entire function as it is. Okay, I hope I am clear with this. So now third way of declaring the function is arrow function. So let's discuss about it. Arrow functions are usually anonymous functions. Anonymous function means the function which does not have any name. Okay. So this arrow function usually we use for the callback function. As I have told, in the upcoming sessions we will understand when to declare these types of function, when to declare this way of declaring the function, and when to use arrow function. This we will explore in the upcoming session. But as of now, in this session, you first understand the syntax. That's all. Okay. So let's declare one arrow function. Okay. I want to give one function name as, say, um, greeting. Greeting message. This is my function name. Okay. So now in the name itself, the meaning is there, arrow function. So we will be using one arrow symbol like this while declaring the function. And these are the blocks. You have to remember this syntax. See, first a parenthesis to give the parameter. Here we are going to pass the parameters if any. And this is the block of your function. That's all. Okay. So this side you have to give the parenthesis, circular brackets, then arrow symbol, curly brackets. So do remember the syntax. Parenthesis, arrow symbol, curly brackets. Parenthesis, arrow symbol and curly brackets. So this is the syntax of our arrow function. So this is the parenthesis for parameter, curly brackets for block of function. Okay. So now inside this block of function, whatever the code you want to write, which you want to wrap inside this function, you can write it. So here I am going to return, let's say I want to give one greeting message one more time. So I'll just write a message over here. Message we will pass into the variable greeting message. This is the variable. Okay. And again, I'm going to attach name over here. Okay. So this greeting message is the parameter we have passed over here. So this is your arrow function which is accepting one parameter and which is returning what? Greeting message. Okay, over here. So now it's time to call this say greeting message. Okay, so we'll call this say greeting message function, and as it is accepting the parameter, so we will send argument over here as good afternoon. Okay, like this. So now whatever it is returning, we want to print it. So this calling of function, we have to wrap it into console. That's all. Okay. So now what is present inside this say greeting message variable? Let's test it first. If I write whatever is present in say greeting message variable, display to us. As of now, we'll keep this in comment. So now I'm going to clear this and let's execute the code. So what is present in this variable? Check greeting message variable. It is holding function. This complete function is present inside this variable. Now you might be thinking, ma'am, previously you have told as soon as we see assignment operator means this is function expression. No, if you are seeing arrow symbol over here, that's called as arrow function. Even though assignment operator is there, doesn't matter. Okay, if you are seeing arrow function in the function declaration, that's your arrow function. Okay, so yes, say hello, say greeting message variable is holding complete function. So now let's observe the output of this code. Okay, so now if I just clear this and let's execute this. So as you can check, good morning Priya we are getting because of function declaration. This is function expression and this is arrow function. So three different ways of declaring the function we have discussed. Okay. So now let's discuss more about this arrow function. This I am going to remove. See, in this arrow function, we are returning only one single expression. So in that case, these curly brackets are not required. Very concise code, we can write it like this. See, this return statement is also not required. Only one single expression you want to return, right? So directly you can write the code like this. So now if I clear and if I re-execute this, as you can check, good afternoon Priya I am getting. So when you called this function, control will go inside the function. This greeting message parameter will be initialized with the value good afternoon and it will return good afternoon Priya. Return statement not required when we are dealing with single expression. Okay, that's all. But let's say you have single expressions, but in that multiple lines are present. So in that case, you can make use of parenthesis like this. See, these are the parentheses which helps us to return single expression. Okay, single multi-line expression. If you have multi-line expressions like this. So now if I clear this and if we execute this, as you can check, I am getting good afternoon, and on the next line as we have displayed Priya. So we got it Priya like this. Okay. So like this, if you have multi-line expression, then these parentheses are must. Okay. We should not write it like this. We should wrap it into these parentheses like this. Okay. And if you are using curly brackets here, this is the opening of curly bracket and this is the closing of curly bracket. Whenever we are using curly brackets, it is must to use return statement. Okay, as you can check, these are the curly brackets. Okay, it is must to use what? Return statement. So we are returning this value. Now parentheses are not required because in one single line we have returned the expression. So now if I save the code, we will be getting the same output. So you have to carefully observe the syntax with the single expression, with the multi-line expression, syntax without parenthesis, without curly brackets and with curly brackets. This syntax is very important for you to understand, okay? Because in our complete React.js, we will be creating different functions, arrow functions, and we will be returning single line expression, multi-line expression, functions with curly brackets, without curly brackets, okay? So at that time, again, we will not discuss this. So make sure you will get the clarity about the syntax right now. Okay. So yeah, these are the different ways of declaring the functions in JavaScript. Okay. So what in all the codes we have typed, I'm going to copy paste that code here at last. Okay. So this is the code we have executed inside in our session. Okay. So yeah, these are the different ways of declaring the function. You can go through it. Okay. I have mentioned in the notes something called as ES6 modules. So in the next session, I'm going to discuss about common JS module means what? ES6 modules means what? Okay. So we are going completely hands-on. Whatever the knowledge is required to develop one application, to build one application, accordingly we have designed this JavaScript course. Okay. So make sure if you get stuck at any concept or if you won't understand the meaning of any word, you can do the research from your end or you can let me know in the comment section as well. Okay, we'll discuss about it. So this is all about our session 2. We have declared different ways. We have declared functions in different ways and we understood the syntax. Okay. So in the next session, we will be discussing about primitive values and the reference data type, and we will be discussing about some conditional control construct, and we will build our second task in our JavaScript journey. Okay. So this is all about our today's session. We'll meet in the next session with some new concepts. Until then, take care all of you and wish you all the best to all. Thank you.